Let's go down the rabbit hole.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to End Times Talk. How's everybody doing? Hold on. Let me put on this light here. There we go. It's great to see you all. I took a few days off from being on camera after filming my new documentary, Mackinac Monarch 2. And it's all about, and if you haven't seen it, it's all about exposing human trafficking in the occult and secret societies and child trafficking on Mackinac Island, Michigan. And it's over on Twitter X, on Rumble, and now BitChute, and then also YouTube. So it'd be cool if people went and checked that out. I put a lot of work into it, but I took a few days off from just being on camera, and I decided, I'm gonna keep my eyes kind of focused on this whole Charlie Cook thing. This is really important. First off, I want to state that if you've come here to see graphic images, that is not going to happen today when it comes to what happened to Mr. Kirk. I'm not here to glorify his death in any way, shape, or form. I actually want to look at this proactively, the way maybe he would look at it, to analyze the evidence and not just always listen to the narrative that you're being fed from mainstream media and what I call the YTSO, the YouTube standard opinion. Okay. I kind of want to just go through this bit by bit, and we'll take it slow. There's actually quite a bit I have to show you. And I was actually on the subject about, I'd say 45 minutes to an hour after it happened. Like, I got to it pretty quick. I was notified pretty quick. One of my friends, Christina, she got a hold of me and said, "Hey, Charlie Kirk's been shot." And, I got to give it to you, Christina. You're the first one to it to get the information to me, sister. So I appreciate you. But I instantly kind of started watching the situation, looking up things and figuring out kind of what was going on. And I knew once I had seen the footage of what happened to Mr. Kirk, I knew that he probably didn't make it. And so I had done a live previously talking about that, but then people were misinformed and they kept saying he was stable, and there was a lot of disinformation even right off the bat I noticed about this one. And I want to cover one of those pieces. Excuse me. I want to cover one of those pieces of disinformation right now. Sorry, I had a hair in my mouth. But it's this. And just like with the Maui fires, and I think I actually have it over here. Hold on one second. I have the book that was written before the Maui fires. I was actually able to obtain a copy. I don't know where it's at right this second, but I do have it. But I actually have a copy of the book that was put out before the Maui fires actually even happened. And likewise, this book was put out September 9th before, the 10th when Charlie Kirk had been assassinated. And, notice how it doesn't say the assassination of Charlie Kirk. It says the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Like, maybe they didn't intend to kill him and on accident it did. I don't know. Like, that's just crazy speculation. But the fact is that they did release a book called The Shooting of Charlie Kirk a whole entire day before it happened. I will also say and I don't have anything in front of me right this moment, and I should have gathered this before this live, but there's actually several news sources. I think one of them was ABC, that came out like 13 hours or something like that before the shooting actually ever even happened. And so, this in 13, and then Cash Patel says, in 33 hours, we solved the crime. This has Illuminati written all over it. I think that this was an Illuminati hit. I'll just give you that to you right off the bat. I think it was an Illuminati hit, and I think that there's a lot of different angles why they did what they did, but one of the biggest, I think, why they did it, and I think that people aren't really paying attention to the bigger picture here. They're trying to blame specific groups and nations and things like that, and we won't be doing that here today. But I will call out what I do see, and what I see is trauma-based mind control. If we go back to 9/11, everybody that was alive that could, that was understanding what was going on back during 9/11 2001 or whatever, it's, you remember even where you were sitting, you remember how it unfolded. That kind of stuff gets programmed into you. It's trauma-based programming to control society for the masses when you get stuff like this happening. And it's clear as day to me, because I've had multiple people contact me, okay, and say, "Oh, I feel the Holy Spirit right now, man. I'm sorry. Give me a moment." I've had multiple people contact me and say, "This really messed with me." My own son gets a hold of me and my wife and says, I've seen a lot of bad things, and he says, "I've seen things that are worse than this," but he's like, "This really affected me." And my wife has coworkers that are telling her. I have people emailing me telling me that. I have friends getting a hold of me right when it happened. I mean, everybody has been hit by like a wave of depression from this thing. And I think it comes down to a little bit of this, that we saw innocence. And I mean, nobody's perfect, okay? But I mean, Charlie Kirk was a really good individual. And the more I've researched this, the more I've gotten to listen to him speak and hear what kind of an amazing person he was. And he was absolutely a brother in Jesus Christ. Like, this dude was loved Jesus with all his heart. I don't care what religion you are, your doctrine can be off, but is where your heart is at with Jesus and in confessing him with your mouth. And Charlie Kirk did those things. So I see him as a brother in Christ. I believe he's in heaven with Jesus Christ. And he even said, if something were to ever happen to me, I want to be remembered for standing up for my faith. And I want to, sound that from the rooftops right now for him, that's the way he would want to be remembered, for him standing up for his faith. Now, obviously, we've talked on this channel about the Illuminati card game, and there is some Illuminati cards that do line up with this. Nothing extremely specific, but there's, a few that stand out. And I want to go through the older ones first. The first one being a card called Power to the People. All right. It's called Power to the People. Sorry, it's not focusing here. Hold on. Let me try to take it out of this case. I have it in here. But it's called Power to the People. All right. And it says destroy conservative groups. Okay. And it's a goal. That's a different kind of card there. It's a goal. It's like something that you intend to do in the game or whatever, because I've never played the game, but it's a trading card game. It's not tarot cards, nothing like that. But the just like a movie has predictive programming in it, the artwork on these cards came out. This came out back in the 90s, and it has a lot of predictive programming in it. And this one here is called Kill for Peace. This one's literally called Kill for Peace, everybody. And that's exact. I mean, these people think they're peaceful. There's a lot I could say right now on that, but I do believe that Charlie Kirk was absolutely innocent, and I think he had every good intention. I don't think there's a lot of good people in this world anymore, but I do think Charlie Kirk was one of them. I do. And this card really bothers me, but absolutely, there is a sniper card, and the guy is on the roof. and he's wearing a hat. The guy was wearing a hat. I'm not saying that fits the bill 110%, but the flavor text on it is assassination. Assassination. Okay. So there are Illuminati cards that line up with this. Now, this is a set right here, and I'll show you the back here. This is a set that came out in the 90s. It's called INWO, INWO, Illuminati New World Order. Okay. And this came out back in the 90s. This set that I'm about to show you came out in the early 2000s, and it's known as the Illuminati Deluxe version. And so they changed the cards a bit. They changed things around a bit, and no one pays attention to the newer Illuminati cards. They just really hyper focus you on this older set because, yes, there's a lot of predictive programming in it, but there's also a lot of predictive programming in some of the newer cards that they came out with that were new cards that were added to the set. So they kind of remixed some older cards, but then they came out with newer cards. And so this back of the newer ones looks like that for the deluxe version. Okay. And I haven't even gone through all the cards yet. I'll be showing more eventually, but I was going through them because I'm like, this is a big event. Everybody's affected by this thing. I don't care who you are, and I don't care how hard as nails you are. You've been affected by this. I shed so many tears over this, man. Just listening to Mrs. Kirk and her speech and seeing her mourn over her husband's body just absolutely tore me up, man. And but I want to show you this card. It's called Rabble Rousers, and it says, "Please, I beg you, for the good of our nation, for the good of my ratings, go out there and blankety blank somebody. I'm just saying." All right, right there. I'll read it again. "Please, I beg of you, for the good of our nation, for the good of my ratings, go out there and blank somebody. I'm just saying." And you can see the word that's being used there on this card. And so, we saw a lot of that. And through that, the fanatics united. Fanatics unite. And it says here, there's nobody left in the center. They were really trying to make it to where you can't have a middle ground on any of this stuff. And it's really frustrating as a person who I've been political in the past, but I actually am choosing to walk away from politics as a whole because I don't trust a whole lot of them. I don't hate anybody. I'm not against anybody. I just I don't agree with politics. But they're really trying to make it to where you're either right or you're left. And and we've talked about the 3 World Wars document here on this channel. Sorry, I'm trying to get my camera to focus here. We've talked about the Albert Pike 3 World Wars document on this channel, and it couldn't be any clearer as day that that's the direction that we're going. And I'm actually making an edited video right now that is only going to be for X and Rumble because it's so controversial. I know YouTube is going to give me problems, but I'm going to call some stuff out, and try to warn people that civil war is fastly approaching because of this. And so anyways, there is a card called Celebrity Funeral. And I know this is kind of more or less looking like it's Hollywood. And I don't believe that Charlie Kirk was Hollywood in any way, shape, or form. He stood up for truth. But it says here, "And now the news goes on hold for a week while we bring you 24-hour coverage of this box. Isn't it a great box?" Is what the it's like this card is like it's meant to be a distraction. I don't believe Charlie Kirk's death is a distraction. I believe it was actually an Illuminati hit. But they're going to never let a good crisis go to waste. And I believe it was, Rahm Emanuel that said that. Rahm Emanuel that used to work for the Obama administration. I think he was he was a politician out of Chicago, and he had said that never let a good crisis go to waste. And so they don't believe that. Yeah, absolutely. SMG reacts. Yep, the enough is enough cards. Yep, at any time, at any place, our snipers can drop you. Absolutely. SMG reacts. That's on point. So anyways, that's another card, Illuminati card that SMG Reacts is talking about. Anyways, so that's just some of the Illuminati cards that I've gone through at this point. I'm not going to be paying attention to the comment section right now, and so looking up Almost Home, if you could keep an eye on the live chat, and make sure there's no rabble rousers, anybody trying to stir the pot. Anyway, so I want to start to go through some of this evidence that I have here digitally. And it's almost like I don't know where to begin. So this is where I'm going to begin. So I'm going to show you a few clips, and we're going to get into some things here. But this video came out after the shooting, but was filmed before the shooting. And don't you think if you would have seen something like this, you'd say something? Check this video out.
Getting right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying.
Huh.
He just ran from over, where's my finger? Well, from over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying.
And he's in the prone position. That's a laying down shooting position. He's prone. All right. And it definitely looks like there is somebody up on the roof. Now, I want to talk about the camera systems of I believe it's the University of Utah. I could care less about the college, even though probably should look into that a little bit more myself. But I do know that their camera systems, they have about 45,000 students, I think it is what they say it is. And they should have anywhere from 1,200 cameras to 1,400 cameras for a campus of that size. And there's been hearsay, evidence that's come out that says they have around 400 or 500. All right. But there are a lot of cameras on campus, and they did just newly install 1080p cameras. And, the video quality that came out was just terrible. And I'm going to show you a picture right here, the real image of the supposed shooter. And I'm going to say supposed for right now for a couple of different reasons. But the real image of the supposed shooter is actually really pixelated, blurred out. It looks like it's been zoomed in on. But then people, and a lot of leftists put out a lot of disinformation. All right. And actually, they messed with it with AI to try to change it. And you can notice if you look at his t-shirt changes, from what the actual, what it should be. All right. And so, and you can look at the logo on the hat and it changes. So absolutely fake, a whole bunch of this stuff that's out there. And they'll say, oh, this isn't the right shooter. This is that. But I think they do have the guy that's in the video. I will give him that. But is he the shooter? I don't know. So anyways, there is some more footage here. And this is of him walking down the street as he's approaching the college. And you can see here he's got a hobble in his leg because he's got a gun, supposedly a gun down his pant leg. You see that there? But it's still bending a little bit. It almost, to me, okay, and I'm just going to say this myself, to me it looks almost like it's like kind of forced, like he's kind of acting like he's trying to pretend like he might have a gun down there, because, I mean, the gun that was found had a scope on it. It had a scope on it. So, it looks a little fishy. And with what I just said, watch it again. You see his leg bending quite a bit, even though he's supposed to be hobbling along on it. The other leg's bending, and the one that's supposed to be being straight seems to be bending a lot. And a gun is heavy, and it has a sway to it. Even people who have concealed carries, there's a sway sometimes on their belt or whatever. You know what I mean? When they carry, because a gun is some of them are decently heavy, especially a high-powered rifle. All right, so you would think that you'd see some more flapping around of his pant legs in the barrel of the gun, jolting back and forth, and you don't really see that with this image. And it's like, I'm starting to think in my head, you expect us to believe this? Like, and you could call me crazy, and you could say, oh, that's real footage. That lines up with the man that's got a rifle down his pant leg, but there's just a lot of bending going on, and I don't see anything protruding out that looks like a scope. I'll be honest with you. Try, if any of you have a rifle with a scope, and especially a high-powered rifle that's a little bit bigger and a bigger scope like he had on it, try putting that down your pant leg and walking around on it, and film that and see how it moves, and then get back to me. Email me at endtimestalk777@gmail.com. So anyways, when this happened, all right, when the shooting took place, it was very obvious that they already had a guy right off the bat, this old fogey, you know what I mean, that they wanted to snatch him up right off the bat. And you have to ask yourself why they snatched him up right off the bat. What did he do that made law enforcement zero in on him as a culprit, especially when you can hear clear as day, and especially these guys that are surrounding Charlie Kirk have training, you can hear clear as day that it is a high-powered rifle. I told people that right off the bat, and everybody's like, no, it was a hand pistol. No, it was a high-powered rifle. And this was before the rifle was even found, and they even came out with it. I was saying it was a high-powered rifle, and I said it came from a distance. My one buddy, Chris, who is a gun expert, he even said that, it seemed like it was around 450 yards. It actually turned out, I think it was like 200 yards from where this person was prone positioned at to the tent where Charlie Kirk was sitting. And so, it was clear as day that it was a high-powered rifle. And so them saying that it was someone with a handgun and that it was this old gentleman I'm about to show you, it doesn't make any sense. But you can hear him. You could say, he said, he's like basically pleading the fifth, like saying, I don't have to answer questions. So if you listen to him closely, right at the beginning of it, that's what he says. Here it is.
That's right, you ain't sorry.
He says, I have a right to remain silent. And you'd be telling people, I didn't do nothing. Why are you arresting me? I'd be a bit more upset. And then as there was another video that I saw as he was walking away, being led away by police, he's saying, shoot me, just kill me. Shoot me, just kill me. That's what he was saying. All right. These are the facts. What I'm presenting to you are the absolute facts. Okay. None of this lines up so far for me. Okay. And I love Charlie Kirk. All right. I never subscribed to him or followed him, but anytime a video popped up in a reel or anything like that, I'd always listen into what he had to say because he was intelligent and he knew what he was talking about. And the Holy Spirit was all over the dude. All right. So anyways, you got that. And then when it comes down to the clothing that the shooter was wearing, they're showing us this image, that he's wearing this shirt and these jeans. And again, he's bending his legs. You know what I mean? But they show us this image, but the call that came in about what the shooter looked like, listen to this.
Is going to be wearing all black long gun, black tactical helmet, a black mask, possibly wearing a tactical vest and jeans.
Does that sound like this guy? Does that sound like this guy? What the call that came in? And this was, the law enforcement. They had gotten a hold of law enforcement. Listen again.
Is going to be wearing all black long gun, black tactical helmet, a black mask, possibly wearing a tactical vest and jeans.
That isn't a person that was there. Okay, that was law enforcement speaking to other law enforcement, notifying them of what to watch for. I mean, nothing is adding up. Let's continue on. Now, this is what we're being told.
So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting here at UVU.
Now, he very likely could have changed into tactical gear up on the roof. That doesn't make any sense to me, though, honestly. And if you look at his backpack, there's no way you're fitting a tactical helmet in that thing. All right. I mean, that's a pretty small, it is a tactical bag, yes. But I also want to point out to everybody, again, he is bending both of his legs in the upper right-hand photograph. Both legs are completely bent, and he doesn't have a high-powered rifle on him with the supposed rifle that was found in the woods for some reason. And nothing is adding up. This is all very strange. Okay, now I want to present this video to you.
He's going to come out on the right, moves to this far right corner. As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA. There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes. Again, we'll replay that again so you can get another view of that. It's important to note his black t-shirt, his black pants.
Now, I want to point out, and I'm going to show this again, there are people in the background walking calmly as if this was filmed before anything ever even happened. I want you to pay attention. Look at the trees in the video and look at the legs that are off in the distance and tell me this isn't strange.
Come out on the right, moves to this far right corner. As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA. There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes. Again, we'll replay that.
Literally, there was people just walking around in the background. One guy's literally looking down at his phone and just walking nonchalantly, not looking around. If there was an active shooter and you know the direction that it came from, right? You heard that gunshot on top of the roof. You would think that you would be looking at that building as a place of danger, and you wouldn't want to be walking calmly next to an area like that, especially with the guy obviously running. And then don't you think that they would hear that drop, like that guy dropping and then seeing him run away with something in his hand? And don't you think they'd be like, oh, this is the guy. This is the guy. But this dude's walking. Let's watch it again. It's important. Let's watch it again. Watch it after he hits, how people continue to act calm after he drops down to the ground. And if people knew there was a shooting that just happened, you see what I'm saying? It would be obvious and clear as day. They'd be alert. They'd see that, and they'd probably run away, not wanting to be shot either.
Come out on the right, moves to this far right corner. As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA. There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes. Again, we'll replay that again so you can get another view of that. It's important to note his black t-shirt, his black pants.
It literally seems to me like it was filmed before a shooting ever even took place. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. But I want to also present this evidence to you that is absolutely important. It is a key aspect to what has happened in the Charlie Kirk assassination. Check this video out. That is a big enough drone to where that would need to be registered with the FAA, I believe is what it's called. And there's no documentation of anything in that area. Anything in the area. And there's even people out there that are saying there was 3 drones flying at the time of the Charlie Kirk shooting. And it's like, who was watching this? Who was keeping an eye on the situation from above the entire time? And where is that footage if it was law enforcement or anything like that? To be able to show us that there is a shooter on the roof. Why is everything so diced up? They show him in the stairwell. They show him jumping off a roof, but they don't have any footage whatsoever on top of those roofs. They don't have any cameras that are 1080p like they newly installed that could show us anything more that could help us to understand the way that this unfolds out. None of it makes sense to me. And then you got, and don't get mad at me if you're ex-military or law enforcement or anything like that, but you got these bootlickers getting on top of other shows and analyzing this and putting it all together and making it really, really fitting it in there that to make this make sense. And it's like you got all these dudes coming out of the woodwork that are ex-military or ex-CIA or ex-FBI that are analyzing these video clips, you know, and I'm just a layman looking at this, and I hope that what I'm saying is making sense to you because none of this is adding up for me, all right? None of this makes sense. Something is absolutely strange here, and it needs to be analyzed. and we need to keep asking questions, okay? Like Charlie would want us to keep asking questions. He wouldn't want violence. He'd want us to dig into the info war that is happening right now, because there are forces at work here, and especially, I believe, leftists that want to flood the internet with propaganda and false evidence, okay? And I gathered all of this within the first 36 hours to 48 hours of this happening. And I mean, the first 48 hours. So that'll tell you the most crucial part after a murder takes place is the first 48 hours. And I was Johnny on the spot. I have evidence that I can't show you here. Okay. I have evidence that I won't bring up that I'm analyzing because of its graphic nature. I don't want people to have to see things that would traumatize them. And I don't care, like I said, if he's the most hardened individual. This traumatized people because it was someone who was loved and who was kind and who was gentle and who was a good parent, who was a good husband, and who was a good patriot, who was a good person, all right, that loved Jesus Christ with all his heart, got his life ripped away from him. And it's traumatic. Even for someone like me, who I've seen way worse than this on the internet and in my research and trying to be a watchman and keep my eye out for you guys. I'm not here to scare people. I'm here to prepare people. Something isn't right here. And I see this as an Illuminati hit that has taken place. All right. That's what I believe is going on. As first off, the first reason is to traumatize the public. And there's no better way than to be able to traumatize or to be able to control the mind of the public than through trauma. Trauma is the means in which they program people in MK Ultra, Project Monarch, Project Gate. I've been learning this stuff, man, and this is seriously psychological operations. This is real. It's sad what happened. It breaks my heart, all right? I actually really feel like, you know, I'm nothing like Charlie Kirk, but I want to be known as a person who spoke the truth and who gave it to people straight and never lied to people, never sugarcoated anything, and you know, just gave it to people raw. You know what I mean? And the thing is that like people like us are targets. You know what I mean? And if they can go after the head like that, the head of say podcasters or whatever, or just truth tellers, Christians alike, if they can go after someone that's the head of something like that, anybody's fair game. Anybody's fair game. If you don't walk the dotted line, you stand a chance of getting splattered on the wall, and it's the real deal. And so I really felt hit personally by this. Like, it really affected me, you know? And so I'm like, I really want to look into this. I want to know the truth. And so also, I want to show you another bit of footage from that is more drone footage here. Check this out.
Apparently there's been a shooting.
Ain't that something slowed down like that? Like, there was clear as day something going on. There's something bigger happening here. And I was listening to Theo Vaughn the other day talk about the shooting. And he's like, it's like as if there's something that everybody higher. Oh, I'm covering something here. It's almost as if everybody higher up, like FBI, Donald Trump, all this stuff. It's like they all know something that they're not telling the public. And that's what Theo Vaughn was kind of analyzing about. He's like, you can see it on everybody. Everybody's like freaked out and affected by this. But he's like, it's like the higher ups, the FBI, the POTUS, all these people, all right, it's like they know something we don't know. It's like they know something we don't know. And it's like there's something bigger coming, is what he said. And I believe it's unrest in general. It's if they can't get it through a pandemic, if they can't get it through climate lockdowns, they want to have civil unrest in civil war. And everything is all about the control of leading to martial law and a dystopian future for America before the year 2030, because they're going to fulfill Agenda 2030. And this is a piece of the puzzle that they're moving forward with this. You know what I mean? It just goes to show. I won't show you the death threats that have been happening all over the place towards patriots and things like that. All right. And I'm actually got a video that I want to show you All right, it's a little bit longer, and I have to take a quick bathroom break. So I'm going to show you this, and it's James O'Keefe come out with this information about some of the deep state within the U.S. government and what they think of the Charlie Kirk assassination. Check this video out.
Have you spoken to anybody about the great Charlie Kirk assassination? It's also like, it's tough not to laugh at this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he's a lunatic and like awful and kind of deserves it in his own way.
So how does FEMA feel about Charlie Kirk getting shot?
Everybody's kind of laugh. I don't know. I mean, the people that are in charge of this place are like dipshits. Now,
Fox News reported that FEMA has put an official on leave from their department who stated online that Charlie Kirk was a racist, homophobic misogynist. Now, O'Keefe Media has a new expose on another FEMA official, and what he says about Charlie Kirk shocks the conscience.
I mean, listen, Charlie Kirk getting shot is crazy. Did you know who that was beforehand? The Charlie Kirk guy?
Yeah, he's
a nut. He's awful.
On the night of Charlie Kirk's death, one of our journalists met with a section chief within FEMA named Sean C. Kelly for dinner in D.C. Sean Kelly works in USERA. There's a lot of acronyms in the federal government. That's the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act section of FEMA. We didn't know that existed. In that section, they protect military reserve personnel to make sure they're taken care of during deployment for FEMA. In the first couple minutes of that meeting, the FEMA section chief started to indulge immediately about the murder of Kirk and said into the hidden camera that Charlie, quote, deserves it in his own.
Hey, you know, and I'm going to stop it right there because I don't want to just go on and on with that. But the reality is that it's almost like what I kind of take away from that is that even people within the government were happy about it and we're celebrating this horrible tragedy. And there's a lot of that going on right now. Do you see that? And it's like, it's almost as if that's like this is all being used to whip up that side. And then that's being used to whip up this side, you know, the conservative side. It's like, you know, get the liberals to be ridiculous and then trigger the right. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, like they're getting ready to clash. I mean, I released a video right at, I think it was the night after the shooting took place. And they were holding a vigil in Idaho, and a man rode by on a scooter, and he said an explicative, Charlie Kirk, and I won't use that language here, but they said that, and dude, he got beat down by like a group of like 5 to 7 guys. Like he got his teeth kicked in, and not literally, but like, you know, figuratively, he got his teeth kicked in, and so people are really charged right now. There's also a video I can't show you here of a guy coming into a store and saying, you know, I'm this, you know what I'm saying, for Democrats and liberals. And I was like, man, dude, like, you know, I get Charlie wouldn't have wanted that. Charlie would not have wanted that. Charlie would not have wanted people to do this and go out and do this. He wouldn't have wanted that. That's not what he would have wanted. He would have wanted people to investigate this, expose this, and have civil discussion about it and debate about it even. All right, rather than, you know, there's even video of him out there saying when people stop talking, that's when violence happens. That's when civil war happens. I put it up as a short on my channel because he predicted that this was coming, in my opinion. He predicted that this civil war would be brewing, and it's part of there's plans that John Podesta, or not John Podesta, but the Podesta, there's like documents that came out where in 2020 they ran war game scenarios for if Trump got in, okay, how they would cause race war and civil unrest to try to overthrow the presidency of Donald Trump if he got in back then, all right, which they just installed Biden anyways. But the reality was, all right, they're following the same protocols that they had in place for then, now that Trump's in now. And so have you noticed the uptick in violence? I mean, there's videos that I'm going to show over on my Twitter X. If you want to subscribe over there and follow me over there, there's videos I'm about to release today, kind of a compilation showing how violent the left is brewing to get ready to come after the right. Like there's death threat after death threat after death threat with this stuff. It's absolutely insane what's going on. You know, I have seen a lot of things, but I have never seen so much tension in America. I've seen a lot of tension here before, But this is like, I mean, we're on the brink of Summer of Love 2.0, and Summer of Love was the violence and the riots in the streets that we had for months during the pandemic. You know what I mean? So they're really trying hard, and I have more evidence to show you of that. I will show you a couple of things, but real quick, you know, again, analyzing this shooter, this was a fellow classmate of the shooter, okay, that shot Charlie Kirk. Listen to what this young man has to say.
I went to school with this Tyler Robinson kid. I'll show y'all. That's him right there, Tyler Robinson. I'm not trying to like clout chase, make this shit about me, but I'm not gonna say I knew this kid really well. I didn't know him very well at all, but I definitely saw him for like 3 straight years in high school. And the best way I could describe him is just like a Reddit kid. I don't know, I feel like if you were in high school around that same time, and even probably now, like 2018, and then like, you know, those kinds of kids, but that's exactly what he was.
So, I mean, he's literally saying like he's just kind of like this nerdy online kid, which a lot of those people are being programmed and things like that, getting involved with these occult groups that I've talked about before, like satanic accelerationists, people who will believe in accelerating the apocalypse. There's a lot of this going on like Roblox and things like that, these satanic groups that are infiltrating, and they're even Aryan and Nazi, neo-Nazi groups that are infiltrating this stuff and trying to hasten the chaos to bring forth the order. Okay. And I've made videos on this before. I've even had parents contact me and thank me for putting it out because they were able to stop their daughter from doing something that she's actually getting involved in it. And they were able to stop it. And praise be to God. Like, I'm glad I made that video because it helped one child, at least. And so it's important to look at all this. And I'm not trying to help this young man that is, you know, been arrested. That's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to analyze this and say, are we being told the truth? Because we all know Harvey Lee Oswald, and if you do any of your research, that dude did not do it. He was a patsy, and they shot him and killed him in the police station because they didn't want it getting out that he wasn't the patsy, or that he was a patsy, and that he didn't actually kill Kennedy. And it's very clear as day that William Greer, the driver of the limo driver, used like it, and it's an assassin's weapon, and it's meant to stay quiet, but it was like an air compressed pistol that he used when he turned around. The driver turned around and pointed it at Kennedy and shot him in the head. As soon as that happens, there's footage out there. Just look up on YouTube. I won't show it here, but look up Kennedy assassination limo driver. And you'll have like it's like a 40-second video, 43 seconds or something like that. And you'll see the gun come up over his shoulder and plow. That's when Kennedy actually gets, I mean, he got hit from a distance. I'm not saying there wasn't multiple shooters, but Harvey Lee Oswald didn't shoot him. He was a patsy. And I'm just saying, let's analyze this. And I know everybody's emotionally charged here. I hope nobody's getting mad at me at this. I'm just trying to be proactive because I care about Charlie Kirk to the point where I want to see who really did this get their comeuppance. I'm not going to lie. All right. And I want to see Charlie get justice, and his wife especially, and his children especially, get true justice and not just accept some narrative. I'm not saying I'm the final say. I'm just saying that collectively, if we stand together and we look at this and we analyze this evidence and it doesn't sit right with us, we need to keep asking questions until the real answers come. All right. We need to be praying for the Kirk family. I believe her name is Erica Kirk, and his 2 children, or I think he's got 3 children. I think he's got a young boy. Maybe it's 2, but I know that he's got children and a wife. And I've heard her speak a few times so far, and she actually speaks just like her husband, man. She speaks with some authority too. She don't mess around. You know what I mean? And so, anyways, I think it's our duty to keep asking questions through this until there's an actual, you know, the evidence makes sense. If the evidence made sense, I wouldn't have a problem. Okay. But I will say this, that if he was the shooter, he had to have been working with multiple people. All right. There was even talk, and I saw it, and I should have downloaded it, but someone was saying something about how evidence came out that he was operating on Discord or something like that. And then Discord came out and said, no, he wasn't. Either Discord is lying or the government's lying. It's one or the other. I mean, that's That's a fact. Because the government's telling us he planned this with other people on Discord, because this young man was part of the Democratic Socialists of America, okay, that are calling for violence. They have called for violence. It's clear as day. I got it over on my Twitter X. I'll be putting it up later on today. And he's part of that, yes. And so he was being, they were turning him into an extremist, okay. But they said that they planned this on Discord. Discord is a dangerous place. If you join a Discord, they have your IP address. Like it's pretty easy to get someone's IP address, and then their address, their phone number, who they are, their family members. I mean, Discord is a very dangerous place, and so is Telegram. Telegram does the same thing, basically the same thing. And very evil people are on every platform, but they congregate heavily on Discord, especially, and Telegram now. Anyways, but Discord came out and said, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. He had nothing to do with. Our thing was not used to plan that out. But yes, he had an account or something like that, but they said it's basically like inactive or something. But there's other intel that came out that said he was working with a group of people. And what's interesting is before the shooting ever even happened, this video was put out and it's been scrubbed from the internet. I've actually shown you a few things that have been scrubbed from the internet already that they don't want you to see, but this is definitely one of them. Isn't that crazy? I'll play it again. And they're saying that this isn't a threat, it's a promise. And this was the day before, on the 9th, that they had posted this, talking about that they were planning this shooting. And it lines up, that part of it. So this young man could be a part of it, or he's just a patsy taking a fall for the real shooter. A distraction. Just like that guy was a distraction. They literally had distractions set up with this. There's actually 2 older gentlemen that were a distraction. And it gave, if this guy was the shooter, definitely gave him time to get away. But everybody like scattered. As soon as that shooting happened, man, dude, people ducked and then they scattered. And they went every which way. And you think that when he was jumping off the roof, there would have been people running by. Because if he was that close to the actual the tent where Kirk was, okay, you'd think that people would be running past if they didn't know where the shot came from. So none of this is making sense to me. And you got threats coming out before about, the University of Utah where Kirk would be the next day, saying it's not a threat, it's a promise. I'm just going to tell you this right now. This has Illuminati and some like Project Monarch, stuff written all over it for me. All right. That's my opinion. And then the left is politicizing the situation. They're literally politicizing the situation, and they're calling for violence against the right. They're calling for violence in the streets, telling people to pick up their weapons and all this stuff. It's wild what's going on. I'm just going to show you a short clip. This is just a taste of what I'm going to show over on Twitter X later on today.
But this is a war. This isn't a battle. And we absolutely will win this war.
It is a war. It is indeed a war. And I have to say, they have won some battles, Jasmine, but we have to keep our eye on the war, and everybody needs to pick up a weapon and get involved, because this is for the safety and lasting of the country. And everybody needs to pick up a weapon.
That's crazy to me. That they're telling people. There's even I've shown videos on this channel of college professors talking about educating the youth in the college on how to pick up a gun and get their hands dirty. Like, this is bad. Like there's a generation that's being programmed, mass MK Ultra, mass Project Monarch programming to be and they don't even know it, but they're being programmed to be satanic super soldiers, or at least satanic accelerationists. Like it's even this satanic accelerationism has even crept into the colleges, it seemed. And Obama came out and told us it would be like this as they're starting to win their game. All right. And I want to remind people of what he said here.
Understand, it's not necessary for people to believe this information in order to weaken democratic institutions. You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.
I mean, it couldn't be any clearer as day what he's talking about. I mean, we're in a birthing pain like I've never seen before. And it's like, actually, it reminds me a lot of the devastation and the trauma that 9/11 did to those back then. I mean, I remember back then, everybody talking about it right after it happened. I remember the morning I woke up and I saw live the second plane hit the second tower. If it even was a plane. But my point is that I remember I literally woke up. I actually was sick, stayed home from school that day, and I get a call from my mom saying, terrorists have entered the country. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? She's like, turn on the news. And all of a sudden, all these attacks are happening all over Pentagon. And, Flight 93 was supposedly heading to Camp David. That's even if Flight 93 ever even existed. But it's crazy because, I literally saw the second plane hit the second tower, and it jarred me. I was just glued to the TV all day, like, what is going on? And that's kind of where we're at right now. Look at the Oklahoma City bombings and the Columbine shooting and every school shooting that's come after that, and the pandemic and all this stuff. I mean, I have people that I know, their wives are so traumatized by the pandemic that if he was like, I know someone was even worried about his wife, that if she was to hear that there's another pandemic possibly, that it would do her in. He was worried about it. And so this is trauma based mind control. And then when people think about mind control, they think about hypnosis and stuff like that. That's not what this is. This is programming to break you down, to wear you out, to subdue you, to cause you to be more compliant to what's coming. They're tenderizing the meat right now is what they're doing. All right. And they've used poor brother Charlie Kirk as a way to continue doing this. And it's straight up evil and out of the pits of hell that this has been done. But this is an aspect that people aren't looking at right now because everybody's trying to point a finger at who done it. I'm not pointing a finger at who done it. I'm saying none of this makes sense. But what does make sense is the trauma that has happened to the public during this time. I know people who are some pretty burly people. And what I mean burly, I mean big people that got a hold of me and said, wow, this has really affected me, Josh. And I thought, man, people are really hurting right now. People are really hurting right now. And I thought it'd be so important to go live and to, try to help people make sense of this, at least, where we're at so far. There's going to be new evidence continuing to come out. But as we get more into this, the more AI can take over, lines can get blurred. And I am going to say a few things, and this is going to really piss a lot of people off, and I don't really care. I don't have two fornications to give. All right. And you know what I'm trying to say there. I don't have two fornications to give what people think about what I'm about to say. But I want to remind people that it is very possible for AI to make sorry, my dog's barking. He's been seeing squirrels out front all day. He gets after them. Nookie poo, it's okay, buddy. And so no, he's barking at something. But anyway, so it's very possible for AI to make Charlie Kirk say things he never said. And there's this mass movement into blaming this country and this country and that country and this person and that person. And I don't think there's a lot of credibility behind it. I just don't. And I can, name somebody that all of this conspiracy comes back to, of a post that they posted a few months back. And it depends on this post. Everything hinges on this theory on this post. I won't get into that today because I'm waiting for things to kind of unfold more before I'll talk about that aspect of it. But there's so much going on, and it's important to look at this picture as a whole, and then to see where it's going. Where is this taking us? And I think that's just as terrifying as seeing what we all saw. And it's, I think what's coming is traumatic as well. And I want to prepare people. I want to, and I will say this, I want to prepare people for what could be ahead. Now, I'm a firm, and I will say this publicly, and I don't care whether you're an atheist or whatever. I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus, and I believe in a pre-tribulation rapture, and I believe it can happen at any moment. But what I will say is that we're not guaranteed when it's going to happen, and we know it's coming soon. The signs are clear as day all around us. We're all feeling the weight of the world bearing down on our shoulders, but we got to give this over to God so that way we can continue keeping our flame lit, keeping our oil filled in our lamps and our flame lit, to continuing to fulfill the commission that Jesus Christ gave to us when before he ascended into heaven. He told us to go out and make disciples out of all creatures, all men and women and children. Make disciples out of them. Lead people to Jesus Christ. This is our commission. This is the one big job Jesus has given us to do. There are sub jobs. There are other jobs that fall under that category. But in a nutshell, we need to be teaching people about Jesus. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know too many people alive right now that could do it any better than Charlie Kirk the way he did. You know what I mean? And so I think he deserves to be stood up for. And I think that I'm going to stand up for him. I had friends. I lost a friendship over this. This person wanted to say Charlie Kirk wasn't saved. I said, no, you're out of your mind. Like you're filled with anger and hate if that's the case, because there's no way that this dude didn't know Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. It's clear as day. And I'm not stupid. I have discernment. I can discern the evidence, can't I? You know what I mean? I can look at all this stuff and say, oh, this doesn't fit the bill. You know what I mean? It doesn't, you could force fit it and make it fit, but to analyze it and say, well, this doesn't line up with this and this and that. And if you look at all the angles, it don't make no sense. And so, I've even lost a friendship over Charlie Kirk, this situation, and everybody's feeling the weight of this thing. It's pretty gnarly. And so I thought it's important to analyze this and talk about this, but there's actually, repercussions that come from this. You know what I mean? There's repercussions that come from this. And I believe that they're going to come at us. And I'm just going to tell you what I think is happening right now. Just hear me out. And what I have said on this channel previously still stands. I believe there's a pandemic coming. I believe there's a lockdown coming. I believe they want chaos and disorder right now to bring forth their order. And I believe they're going to try to do it before the year 2030. I think it's moving that quickly. And I think that it's only going to take one or two more events like this, and the complete sanity of America is gone, and everybody's at each other's throats like Summer of Love back during the pandemic. And I see something brewing, and they are really ramping up the left. And they got this really popular song they're putting out there. And I'll be honest with you, I have shown you raw footage before. I'm not going to hold back the cussing and the swearing. I don't have time for that. We're all adults here. You know what I mean? And so, but I want to show you this a minute and 30-second clip of this musical group that's a leftist musical group. They're a trans leftist musical group, okay? And you need to hear and see the lyrics of what they're talking about. And after this goes live and it gets put back, it's on YouTube to watch, you should go back and you should read the words that they're saying and what they're telling people to do. All right. So I'm just going to play this through and we'll talk about it after this. I'm sorry for the language, but I think it's a must because dude, music is motivational speaking is what it is. And this is being pushed to the left really hard. This is a very popular song with the left right now and has become almost an anthem for this situation that has happened to the left. All right. And so I'm letting you guys in on a little something of what's programming the left right now.
Okay, first things first, free Gaza. I need Elon's body dropping. I need TNT in Congress. I need Luigi in my roster. Get janitorial, got no street sweeper. Big fan of dead leaders, VIP meet and greet 'em. Treat any money mo, how I treat my CEO like Bird, but all I can see now is rojo. Just the other day, I was scrolling on my phone though, trying to cope with the notion that I'm culpable. Saw the trolley pound at the POTUS with a locomotive. Band together first, then focus on your locomotive. 756, really it's a low total. Come get in the mix. Teach you how to toe the pole, walking with a stick, hits up from a stone's throw. Since you love big tech, got forward. Hit a 187 on a piggy if you want to make a difference. SpaceX ain't the only ones with a mission. My team got the rockets out and used to try to catch them all. Trying to decimate the deficit down to the very last decimal. Look, I don't know how to balance a budget, but I know how to take every last ounce of blood out of your stomach. I feel like Neo will play with me. I ain't the one that said I am the sun. Blinded by rage, got red on the side of my gun. Defiant, denying, defunded, fine with the timing, compliant. I'm not the pious, go try me. I'm lighting them up. Say, give me the mic. I am live from the mud. What them it say? It's on the hook. What the kids say? It's on the truck. Burn the system down and start a fire. Marching down the streets and you invited. Fist up in the air and put it higher. We the people gotta stay united.
And so this absolutely lines up with the movie Civil War. Like they like, what's crazy is the Lord just gave me this one. It just popped into my head. Here it is. There was a blood moon before the first Civil War. And I think that I think it was April 8th, if I can remember correctly. April 8th, we had that blood moon over America. And if you go into what the blood moon means, through a Jewish meaning, it actually means like turmoil coming to that nation, that blood moon is over. Okay. And it's symbolic as such. Okay. Now, if you listen to that band, that group, I won't even mention their name because I don't really care for people to go listen to any more of it than what you've already had to bear with here. But the reality is those lyrics, man, they are pushing people to go out and be violent in the streets, to assault police and to assassinate other leaders and things like that. They are pushing it hard, folks. And I have, like I said, I have a video. It's a very important video that I'm going to be putting up over on my Twitter X and my Rumble later on today. After I've almost got it finished edited. Got a little bit more to go, and then I'll be posting it later on today. And you'll see how bad it's getting. Like, dude, the people are calling for, death to both sides. It's both sides getting ready to clash. And it's funny, right after this blood moon, in April, just a few months later, here we are, and everybody sees the tension that's rising. And I'm going to say something. I'm not really against people that are celebrating someone's murder, getting their comeuppance, okay? I'm not against that. But you have to remember that when you assault somebody, there's always a reaction. Those who live by the sword die by the sword. And I'm saying this in a way that I want to focus in on how people are getting people fired from their jobs. All right. I have seen multiple leftist videos where they're like violently crying, like, I have nothing left. Like freaking out. All right. And you can push people really quickly to go be something that we've already seen that we don't want to see any more of. And I hope you're understanding me when I say that if you go out and you do that sort of stuff to people because of what they've said, all right, and you turn it physical, it can also turn very much so more physical than that. And I'm worried that the left is being programmed to be an initiating force in the next, American Civil War. That's what I believe is going on. I already believe that they've been pushed to and propagated to be what they are right now, and it's happened in the colleges. And if you know anything about the protocols, their whole goal was to get liberalism in the colleges, and the Illuminati know that liberalism is a poison, and they even say it. The Illuminati outright admit it in the protocols. And so the thing is that they knew it was a poison. They instituted it in the institution, and it's you see the generation. You see what's happened. You see the Harry Potter generation. It's right before you. This is the destruction that has happened from the Illuminati programming that has taken place and the mind control that has gone on. and people who are weak-minded will be controlled. And I think that it takes Jesus really to unlock the human mind and break you out of the matrix that we're all in. And if you see that, you step back. And I think that people should heed this warning that I'm about to share with you right now. And I'll say to you this, that if you go out and you get violent, you are playing into the satanic hand, and I don't care what side you're on. I've shown you Albert Pike's 3 World Wars, and I can even bring up the document right now where, you know, you can read this for yourself. You can stop and you can read this yourself, and it tells you that they're going to stir up a social cataclysm using the left. All right. And they want the left, they're going to use the left and the liberals to start a social cataclysm. And that, this is during the time that Israel and the Muslim nations are at each other's throats, which is happening. And then they want the world to be divided on that, whether you're pro-Israel or we'll say pro-Palestine. Okay. And then they want these people who are leftists, atheists, nihilists, Antifa types, multiple letter communities to come out of the woodworks to get violent. So that way the right and the conservatives and the Christians will rise up and pew pew and take out those people who are trying to destroy civilization as we have known it, because they're trying to push forward a new world order, and they need to have problem, reaction, solution. The left is the problem. The right is going to be the reaction, and the solution is a new world order. And that's what this letter states in a nutshell. And that through this, they're saying that the destruction of Christianity and atheism, because they have to destroy the atheists too, because they can't believe that Lucifer is God. They can't believe that Satan should be worshipped because they don't believe in a God. Even though a lot of them claim satanic symbolism because they don't know what it means, and they can look like a Satanist and they're not a Satanist. But the reality is that this is where this is all going. Destabilization to bring forth the order of the Antichrist that I think, and my opinion is, and I've never really said this publicly, but I think around the year 2030, that's when, we're going to start to see the Antichrist taking center stage. I think they're going to start to sow seeds of the Antichrist. They already are. They're already operating and doing what he's been telling them to do. All right. And they've been following with their marching orders, but they're going to allow you to see him a little bit then. And he's going to kind of start to come on the scene. He's got to come on the scene a little bit before he becomes the world ruler, because people have to accept him. They have to know about him to accept him. So he's going to be that dude that comes out of nowhere that starts solving all the problems. All right. And so in order for him to solve all the problems, there's got to be a problem, and they're not going to let a good crisis go to waste. And they're going to use every single bit of this to try to push forward a 10-kingdom new world order. And yes, it will be 10 kingdoms, and those kingdoms are forming now. Look at all the wars that are happening all over the place. Ukraine, Russia, and now Poland. I said, and you can go back to my earlier videos, scroll back to my very first videos, and within the first 20 videos, I warned people that Poland would get sucked into this. I warned people almost 3 years ago that Poland was going to get sucked into this, and they're doing it. It's happening because one of the 10 kingdoms, the Eastern European kingdom that is set to take place, is starting to form. All right, they're going to go to war. There's going to be a depopulation that's going to happen there, and then they're all going to shake hands and go buddy buddy all of a sudden and merge. Or it's going to be through devastation and disaster that they'll make a treaty and merge eventually. And then the same thing's happening with Asian, all right? And you're seeing turmoil happening between Thailand and Cambodia, all right, that they want to go to war with each other. They can't stand each other right now, all right? Then you have India and Pakistan, all right, that's going to war. Then you got China wanting to go after Taiwan, all right? And then you have America starting to go to war in South America, with the cartels, all right? And why does all of a sudden America can have a military? And I get it, there's drug problems here in America coming from down there, but all of a sudden it's become, Trump and America's problem to solve this issue because the Mexican government won't do it. No, I think that it's become that America's become the powerhouse within the North American Union that was signed into sovereignty under the Declaration of North America under Joe Biden, Justin Trudeau, and the president of South America. Our sovereignty is already gone. All they need is Greenland now, and there are already wargaming scenarios at the Pentagon to be able to absorb Greenland into this North American Union that's taken place. And after America does what it does to the cartels, they're going to have the ability to be able to merge all the South American nations together that are down by Brazil and all those places, All right, but Mexico is with the North American Union. It's Mexico, America, Canada, and Greenland. And there's Illuminati maps out there, 10 kingdom maps out there, but they're not the real one that was originally made. And I do have a copy of it. I just forgot where I put it on my computer, and maybe I'll post it in my in my post section later on today. But my point is, okay, is that they are fastly building a 10 kingdom world order that will submit its power to the Antichrist. They have to compartmentalize it as such because it makes it easier for the Antichrist to be able to take power. In the book of Daniel, it says that there are 10 horns that represent 10 kings, and 11th horn, a little horn, rises up out of the midst of those. The Antichrist comes after 10 kingdoms are formed. We could be going home before the 10 kingdoms are formed, but the 10 kingdoms have to be formed. This is all about the implementation of the new world order, the Novus Ordo Seclorum, aka in Latin, that's the new secular order. Anything that's secular can be translated as world, okay? And it becomes the new world order. All right. And so, you know, they've had this in the making for quite some time, but it's coming to fruition now. And they're going to use tragedy after tragedy after tragedy to be able to move the goalpost, or to be able to move their objective, to move their objective closer and closer to the goalpost. That's what they want. And this is about progressing towards a global government. That's what globalism is all about. That's what the United Nations is all about. All right. And let me remind you that David Spangler, who worked for the United Nations, and you can look this up, David Spangler, quote, "No one will come into," and just go to Google Images, "No one will come into the New World Order unless they take a satanic pledge first." David Spangler from the United Nations. That's a quote. All right. And so there is a movement that is demonic and evil that is coming onto the scene. It's been going on. It's been held in check for a long time, but it's being given a longer leash now because these things have to happen for destabilization to happen, because prophecy has to be fulfilled. But I'm telling you, folks, normal isn't coming back. Jesus is. That's the reality of where we're at right now. And if everybody thinks that things are going to come back to normal and that Trump is going to save the day, you are wrong. I'm predicting in the next 4 years, the world is going to be completely destabilized. And that by the year 2030, I think it's going to be less than 4 years, to be honest with you, that by the year 2030, everybody will already have been following the dotted line and in lines and in distribution centers to get food. And, you know, there's no more going to the grocery store anymore. And, you know, all this different stuff, you know, taking a mark of the beast and all stuff, central bank digital currency. They're going to use this during civil war. They're going to release viruses. They're going to collapse the economy. It is going to come all at once, and it has to. It has to, because they have to have a season of peace. But then after that, the Antichrist makes war. And he comes against his own people, and he starts to persecute the globe. There will be a false peace that the Antichrist ushers in. And then after that, it's going to be complete destabilization, even during his reign. Because it's not Christ's reign. It's not Jesus Christ's reign. That's coming after all of this. And during the meantime, God's going to take us home and keep us safe for the 7 years that all this is going to be happening. That's where we're at right now. We're that close to it. And it has nothing to do with September this month and what's, you know, supposed to happen in 10 days or 12 days or whatever. It has everything to do with the signs that are happening all around us. He says, when you begin to see these things happen, and they're beginning, all right. It says, look up, for your redemption draweth nigh. And I've talked about it before. There's plenty of videos on my channel about it, on how the Illuminati know a pre-tribulation rapture is coming. They know it. They're aware of it. They are absolutely 110% aware of the rapture coming. And it is a pre-tribulation rapture. And that's what the whole alien agenda is, to explain away this catching away of people that's going to be off the planet during this time. I mean, God split the Red Sea. You know, 10 plagues of Egypt. He's done miraculous things before, and they're going to start happening again because God's turning his face back to the situation. It kind of talks about how, you know, because of the sins of Israel, God looked away from everything. You know what I mean? For a while. And he's turning his face back to Israel. But the church age has to come to a close. The church age can't close without us being taken home first. And so what we're seeing right now are the precursors to everything that we're about to see during the Great Tribulation. These are precursors, but I'm not just talking to Christians on this channel. I am talking to people that do not know Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, and that eventually will find out that they should have chosen. And I really hope people make that decision beforehand. But I'll tell you, if you don't, it's going to be rough, because this ain't getting any better. And this is all clear as day, and it's all obvious that regardless of whoever took out Mr. Kirk, God bless his soul and his family, whoever took him out, it doesn't even really matter about that so much. I hope we find out, and I hope there's true justice that comes for the Kirk family, to whoever is responsible behind this, even if it is a national that did this. I don't know, but I'm telling you, I pray that truth be revealed in Jesus' mighty name in this situation, because what's going on right now, deception is abounding. It says many false prophets will arise and shall deceive many, and the deception will abound. And those are two different, parts of the Bible there. I'm not trying to put them together, but that's what it says. And it says that as in the days of Noah shall the coming of the Son of Man be. And it says in those days, in the days of Noah, that the mind of man was violent continually. It wasn't easy peasy lemon squeezy, peace, peace. It ain't going to be peace, peace up to the rapture. I'm sorry. The devil's too nasty for that. He ain't going to allow Christians to have a free ride all the way up till Jesus comes home to take them home. That ain't going to happen. All right. It's going to get tough. And it already is getting tough. Everybody feels the weight of this thing and what's happened. It's absolutely terrible what's happened. But it's leading us to a fulfillment of what the globalists want, because they want the two sides to clash. And that's what that whole movie Civil War was over. It was over leftists and over conservatives and right-wingers, and them clashing and states seceding from the United States. I think in that movie, it was California and Texas were two of them. But then there's also another movie called Bushwick that talks about all the southern states seceding from the United States and making war against the North. It's called Bushwick. It's got that Batista guy in it or whatever. Bushwick, look it up. Actually a really decent movie. Graphic, but decent. And it's all about the Second Civil War. Not a lot of people know about that, because I think that one was released during one of them film festivals. There's a lot of those movies that are predictive programming that they don't want the mainstream to see it. And so they put it out during like one of these film festivals that they have. And it never really sees the light of day in a movie theater. All right. So, I think what I've shown you is pretty ample evidence for what's coming. In that, and I'm even going to show some evidence that the left is preparing violence, and even the right is preparing violence. And I think the right has done a really good job of holding their ground without getting violent. And I think I'm going to be honest with you, I think they need to continue to do so, because, it's so important, that it's that people see the big picture here and where this is leading us all to. All right. Because the Pied Piper's playing right now. And the enemy uses tragedy after tragedy to be able to progress their political agenda forward. And I think that this is more about keeping our heads afloat until Jesus comes and gets us, because I don't think it's going to be easy at all. I just don't. And so I really don't know what else more to tell people except for what I'm going to show over on Twitter, X, and Rumble, and I pray people check that out. I'm also going to say this. I put a lot of work into Mackinac Monarch Part 2, a documentary exposing child trafficking, human trafficking, and satanic evil, and occult evil, and secret societies on Mackinac Island, Michigan. All right. I did an investigation on the island. There's actually 2 documentaries, did 2 investigations there. And the second one, I think, is even better than the first. And it's gotten less views than the first one. And I really hope that people would take the time to watch that, because there's a lot of connections there to even other things in the future that I'm going to be covering. So, it would mean a lot. People go check that out. I also do want to say this, because I'm not afraid, those that are in need ask. And I do want to start to work on trying to film higher quality videos when I do these documentaries. I actually have a few different investigations locally that I'm going to be here doing that I'm not going to announce just yet. But if you feel led by the Lord to donate to the ministry, we want to put something towards. I like to use the cell phones, to be able to. It's lighter. It's not as bulky equipment. I can travel with it easier. But the one I'm using, it only has 50 megapixels, and it's only like 1080p. I'd like to get my hands on a 4K phone. So if the Lord leads you to, that'd be awesome. And I'm not trying to make it about that. But those that have need ask, and so I'm going to ask God's people. You know what I mean? Anyways, but if you could check out Mackinac Monarch, it'd mean a lot. And keep your eye out for the video that I'm going to be posting later on Twitter X. I love all of you so much, and I want to say a prayer before we get off of here, because I know everybody's going through it right now. So let's pray. Dear Jesus, Heavenly Father, Holy Spirit, we come to right now, and we just lift the Kirk family up before you, Jesus. We have no idea what they're going through, Lord. What a tragedy this has been. We all feel a portion of the weight of this thing, but I don't think anybody feels the weight of this like Mrs. Kirk and the little children that her and Charlie had. I just pray, Jesus, comfort for them in this time of loss, and comfort them through the grieving process, Lord. And I pray that you stir up a movement that is what you want, Jesus, that's going to glorify your name through this, that good can come out of evil only because that you can turn it into that, God. I pray that you can turn this into you being magnified and glorified. We know that Brother Charlie Kirk is with you, Lord. We knew that he believed in you, Jesus. And we just thank you for the time that we got to have him here on this earth and hear him speak. What an intelligent man. And we just thank you for creating him, Lord. And I just thank you for everybody here that watches this channel. I thank you for just all my brothers and sisters as a whole. I just ask you to protect them, watch over them, and keep them safe in the days ahead. And I just pray for the hastening of your coming, Lord. I just pray that you come soon, Jesus, that you even so come, Lord Jesus, that we need you, Lord. This is such a turbulent time that we're in right now. And I just ask you, Lord, to just bring peace upon your people and restore them, refresh them, rejuvenate them, and reignite them on fire for you, Lord. If they feel that their flame has gone out a little bit, Lord, I pray a stirring in everybody, Lord, that everybody be stirred about this, to do something in your name, Jesus, that's peaceful, to further the kingdom of Christ here on this earth in the time that we have still here left, even if it's just a few days. I pray, Jesus, Lord, that you would watch over the children, keep them safe, protect them, Lord. And I pray, Jesus, that you would protect the minds of the people that saw this tragedy happen in Utah, and anybody who's viewed it accidentally, especially accidentally on social media. There's a lot of videos out there that people saw that they didn't want to see. And I pray that you comfort people's minds and hearts with the loss that they've endured, because there's a lot of people that listen to Charlie. And I just pray, Jesus, that you will help them through their time of loss and grief. And I just pray that you give them a peace that surpasses all understanding, that just comes out of nowhere. And that even in such a turbulent time, we can have a sense of well-being in you, Jesus, and find rest in you, because your yoke is easy and your burden is light, Lord. And I just pray protection over all your people, Lord, far and wide, near and far. And I just pray for their families as well, and that you bring every trap that's been set before us to try to entrap us, that you cause our path to be straight, and that you let no weapon formed against us prosper. Help us to have the Ephesians 6 armor on, Lord. Help us to be ready for spiritual warfare, Lord, at any given moment. If anything arises against your people, that we as a group, as the body of Christ, can come together to fight for our other brothers and sisters that are dealing with things right now. I pray that you meet the needs of your people, Lord. I pray that you just govern over them, Lord, and that you just love them up, Jesus, in this time, and that you just bring people a joy that even can be on a martyr's face. Like you see some of these martyrs before they are martyred, and there's even like a peace on them, Lord. I pray that your peace can be over us these last days, and even in turbulent times. And as everything begins to crumble and fall apart around us, because you said the earth would fall apart and crumble, Lord. And as this begins to happen, that you would help us to stand tall and stand on you, Jesus, as the unshakable foundation that you are. And I just pray for breakthrough in all the lives of all your people. And I pray for the heart of a lion, the same kind of heart you gave Charlie Kirk, Lord, that you would give that heart to all of us, that is your heart, Jesus, your heart. Lord, that you would fill us up and cause us to be on fire for you, Lord. That if our fire has gone out, that you reignite it, Jesus, for you. And I pray that your kingdom will be furthered faster than ever now because of Mr. Kirk's voice. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray. I just bless all your people, Lord, and I pray that your Holy Spirit goes with them today and just guides them, and that your blood covers them, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen and amen. I appreciate all of you so much for coming to this. Thank you for listening to me ramble on while I'm talking here. But it really means a lot that you guys would hear what I have to say. May God bless you all. May he keep you in these last days. Please, please, please take the time to go out and witness and change this world in which you live.
Now, let's go down the rabbit hole.